Good morning, good morning, good morning. Shawn here with Accelerators Organization. What do you think about that hat? Who needs one of these hats? Just leave a comment. Okay, we're going to do today's mentor session. We've got some really good questions, so let's get this thing started. And if you have some questions, make sure you jump into the AO portal and ask some questions today. It just takes a couple minutes. Make sure you got the AO portal saved on your phone, so you just press the button, have your password saved, and log in. Make it really easy to ask questions. Okay, first question comes from Samuel. And Samuel says, how do I split a customer's payment between myself and my collaborator? The background is, hi mentors, hope everyone is doing great. My company provides high quality landscape photography to fill the space from empty walls for residential and commercial properties. I recently was offered by the Westin Harbourfront Hotel in Toronto to feature my photography on their walls, and in our collaborative deal included that for every sale of my photography, they will receive 15% commission. I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to automate and split the payments for both me and the hotel by making it as simple as possible for both of us. I'm also trying to figure it out. This needs to be set up on the hotel's end or on my end, as it seems logical to me that a customer could either pay via the front desk or the hotel or through a QR code to facilitate the transaction. Thank you for your help in looking into this and looking forward to learn what you all think. Okay, I've done a lot of business with hotels, and generally speaking, it would be easier, and this is a lot of trust factor, it would be easier if the hotel collected payment. It should be very clear on each portrait or photography what the price is, and the hotel collect that payment. Luckily, this is not a huge inventory issue for you, and once a week or once a month, you might visit the hotel and say, I see that this print or this print or this print has been sold, it's not there anymore. And then work out an arrangement with the hotel on how they're going to pay you. Generally speaking, a lot of hotels have gift shops and things like that of where they can collect payment. There should be very clear signage in the room where all of your prints are. There should be very clear signage of how to and where to pay for the actual print. Print, is that what it is? Photography, whatever. Hotel collects the payment and they pay you. That would be the simplest thing. I would talk to the hotel general manager or whoever you're dealing with at the hotel and ask them what is the easiest way for you to receive payment. I would think it would be on a monthly basis, because I'm sure they don't want to be cutting you checks and so forth every single day when something sells. Hotels are also really slow when it comes to paying bills sometimes, so I would really develop a relationship with the hotel to try to figure out what is the best solution for them for you to get paid. They are probably going to be the ones that are going to dictate that, unless you actually sat in there all day long and you took payments and then you paid the hotel the commission, but then you'd have to sit in there all day or hire someone else to be in there all day, which probably, you'd have to determine on whether or not your gallery, because you could look at it as a gallery, if your gallery would sell enough prints in order to substantiate having a full-time person being in there selling it. Because if people were walking through and you had a good salesperson trying to sell it, you might make more money. Something to test. You're in the testing phase, so right now, nothing is off limits. Try a lot of different things and see which one is going to make you the most money. But that's what I would say. I highly doubt this is something that is easily automated. There is going to be some manual part of this, and it's not like you're going to be selling thousands and thousands a week. And if you are, great, and you'll have plenty of money to pay someone to be there all day if you're selling that many. Hope that helps. Okay, next question comes from Samuel, and Samuel says, how do I negotiate with my first big client without jeopardizing my relationship? Background, hi mentors. My company provides high-quality landscape photography to fill empty walls of residential or commercial properties, and I recently closed a big client of mine, which is the Westin Harbourfront Hotel in Toronto. They are willing to collaborate with me, but I have to pay for the framing and printing for my photography. Framing and printing can be very expensive, especially since my company is starting up. So I have this gut feeling that I should have my client pay for some of the initial costs. In addition, I also feel that since it is my first big client, I don't want to approach for more and then turn them off, as they provided a lot of value to give me a physical visibility for my brand with a hotel that has a great reputation internationally. Would love to hear your feedback, and I'm looking forward to all your answers. Thank you. Well, listen, having a negotiation and conversation with anyone should never lead to something that would jeopardize the relationship, as long as you are self-aware of what you're asking and developing that relationship. And the longer you have a relationship with somebody, generally speaking, the greater the trust and the ability for very open transparency is. There's a lot of articles in the AO portal on negotiating. So check the resource center. It's going to be probably in the communication section. I might even have a negotiation section. Check there. If there's not enough resources, let me know. I would also recommend that you go through Pro Code Sales, 11 hours of sales training with Tom. This is going to help you with your communication and your negotiating skills. Going to help you with body language, verbal and nonverbal communication. My thought is, and I know now you've closed this deal and you're putting the framing up, I'd love for you to leave a comment on this or do a Flex Friday or something and let us know who ended up paying for the framing. In my opinion, if I own the hotel and I'm paying millions and millions of dollars to have that space, and you're a vendor coming in and wanting to showcase your art, you're going to be paying for the framing, not me. I am providing you a rent-free gallery, and you should be thanking your lucky stars that I am allowing you to put your art in my space to sell it. And I'm surprised they're not even charging you, especially when you are not an acclaimed artist. They probably could have a very acclaimed art gallery person or artist in there who already has a reputation that would pay them to have that rent. So my guess is that they're going to want you to pay for it, but I'd love to see if you negotiated to get them to pay any upfront costs. That would be some serious negotiation, Samuel. That's just the cost of doing business. Okay, next question comes from Yola. And Yola says, how do you shift your thinking, and what steps did you take to go from an independent contractor to business owner and then to investor? The background is I'm an independent life insurance broker with a few agents in my organization who are also 1099. I want to take my agency to the next level by hiring staff and growing a book of business. I want to become a mentor for other agents, but I feel like I have a long way to go. I've been considering hiring a business coach or mentor, and I figured I would start here. Well, you've already got 25 mentors, and I'm going to get a bunch of mentors to answer this for you, so this is a great question. We always have a long way to go, so I'm not sure, if that plays in anything. We always have a long way to go to get to whatever big goal that we've got, so no reason to even talk about that, right? I think that I tried to get you here to the event that we're having next weekend, which is all on leadership and building a team and knowing how to do that effectively. So I wish we could have gotten a hold of you to come next weekend, because it's very difficult to teach and coach somebody on all of the intricacies and details and complexities that go along with placing ads, understanding personality types, onboarding and interviewing, training, managing, all of documenting processes, all that stuff. Those are usually deep dive things that do require getting a consultant or advisor or coach or somebody or consultant to help you with those things. In fact, I've told everybody that just last year when I got on Trainual, I hired a Trainual consultant to come out here to my studio right over here. And I paid her $2,500 for the weekend, and she helped me master learning how to document processes. And it was a huge undertaking to understand the detail that is involved with actually putting together training and processes so that somebody can pick up that training or watch that video or follow that training and be able to do it without us having to teach them or even talk to them about it. It's very, very complex, but once you learn it, it's amazing. But as far as that's concerned, I think, Yola, you getting a coach that can help you with those mindset things that you're trying to go through is a great idea. If you'll shoot me an email to Shawn@askamillionaire.com, I'll introduce you to 2 different coaches that we've got here in AO, Tom Black and Dan Abate. And you should talk to both of them and see which one you think would be able to help you the most. I also think that you coming to some of the workshops, you're going to be able to get a lot of this stuff done as well. But this is part of the process. Talk to people like Zach Knock, Jennifer. I don't even know how to Melchion. I don't know how to say her last name. Sorry, Jennifer. Deanne Kell, Nick Brent. All of them have worked with Tom or Dan or both on these things, and they can help you understand the value of having a coach. I think it's a great idea. AO is a great foundational element to get mentorship from all the mentors and the resources and things like that for $100 a month. And then at some point when we're ready to elevate to the next level, we want to get some additional help in certain areas of our business. And I think you probably are ready for a coach. Okay, hope that helps. Okay, next question comes from Alex. And Alex says, what's the best structure for my training course? The background is I'm a life insurance sales training course. I write $1 million of annual premium each year on my own pen using live transfer leads and have for a few years in a row. A lot of agents want to duplicate those results. I'm going to cover everything to get an agent up and running: carriers, products, leads, script, industry knowledge, closing, and everything an agent needs. I plan to do role plays in my own calls, have training calls, and give them feedback. Interactive 100% live. Oh, should I do it live or part of it all recorded? 1 week, 2 week, what to teach in what order in general? Is there a training structure I can follow? Whew. So Alex, you and I talked about this. Man, this is a really, really tough one to answer on just, a live stream like this. So basically, in creating a training system, the first thing I would do is I would go and watch the Pro Code Sales videos in the AO portal. I would also watch the 4-hour training classes that Peter did. I would also then start watching some of the Zooms that are in the 4 pillar section. You just have to figure out what your mission is for your company. And you and I talked about this. And this is really important for a lot of people that are going to watch this. So many people skip the most important process in creating a business and creating a product and service. They don't think about the customer in mind. If we think about what our customer wants and we build exactly what they want and how they want it, it's going to be easy for us to sell it, and we're going to know exactly what to build. We're going to know exactly what the structure should be. If it were me, and this is how I built my $20 million company. This is how I have built AO. I went out there and I got to know my customers, and I asked them what they want, and then I built it. If it were me, I would go talk to insurance agents and ask them what they want, how they want it. Do they want daily training, weekly calls, daily calls, monthly calls, in-person training, phone training, an online course, written workbooks? How do they want what you're going to offer? So many times, we try to build stuff and then go sell it. And that's the opposite way to do this. Build what your customers want, and then it's going to be easier for you to sell it. And remember this, we can always expand once we've built the foundation for the initial customers. And we've got cash flow coming in. We can start hiring people, and then we can start building on additional products and services over time. We don't have to invent everything today, especially when you don't even have your first customer, if you will, right? So find out what your customers want. do what's called a feasibility study or some market research and start talking to potential customers. They will tell you what structure they want, and they will tell you how much they're willing to pay to get it. That's where I would start. I'm going to get some other mentors to answer this. So I'm interested to see what some other mentors say. But I think that the mentors are going to have a really difficult time with your question, Alex, because it's very complex what you're asking here. Like, it's impossible to tell someone how to build out an entire business plan in one question like this or one answer. It's very difficult. I've had the fortunate of talking with you already, so I know what you're trying to do, but I'll try to get some other mentors to answer this, and I may reframe your question, okay? Okay, the next question comes from Lloyd, and Lloyd says, when adding additional employees, should I hire before I'm ready for them to start, which wouldn't be until November 15th, or should I wait until I'm ready for them to start, then hire? Thanks. The background is I'm adding a third truck to my moving company November 15th, and I need to hire a team of 3 to service the jobs. Movers I can usually hire quickly, but a qualified manager may take some time. Thanks. I'd get started right away because it's not like you're going to put an ad out and hire somebody in a day. You're going to have to go through the interviewing process. You're going to have to really do a background check, make sure they're the right person, maybe do a personality profile. You're going to have to do a lot of things with them, right? And then what I would do is I'd want to get them hired, and I'd want to get them out there shadowing you and understanding all your processes and documenting all your processes so they know how to do the job. And then when November 15th comes around, you're ready. Like, I would hire the person as soon as possible, especially since you know you're going to need them. Okay, next question comes from Michelle Adams. And Michelle says, how do you value intangible assets, such as customer email lists, customer contact list, established business phone numbers, brand goodwill, referral of established business accounts, license to use copyrighted trade secrets, and referral from website traffic? The background is I own a food business and I'm interested in selling just my retail business. I am keeping my trademarked brand, website, and social accounts for other business opportunities. I have an interested buyer who will be using a different name for the retail business, but is interested in buying all of my tangible assets along with the mentioned intangible assets. Okay, well, Michelle, having experience with this to some extent, my advice would be to go out there and talk to a business broker. Small businesses are the hardest businesses to value, and a lot of times it's purely emotional. It's purely, this is what I want, and this is the minimum I'm willing to take. The person buying it is going to always offer a low ball. The smaller the business, the harder it is to sell. So it really just comes down to what is the dollar figure in which you're willing to sell the business for, and then sell it. You might talk to a business broker who will have experience with selling retail locations, and so they might have formulas for this type of stuff, which I think they would. And if you hire a business broker, just like hiring a real estate agent, a lot of times they will be able to negotiate on your behalf and get you a higher price that even with their commission built in, you'll still get more money. That's what I would do. If I was trying to sell a small business, I would hire a business broker and let them help me in the process. A lot of what it's also going to do, which is very similar to real estate, is it's going to take the emotion. Business owners should not, this is an opinion, business owners should not be negotiating selling their company. It's very emotional, and business owners are fucking emotional anyway. So all you're going to do is be emotional in the process, and that just isn't worth it. And I know you're an attorney, so you're a little bit less emotional, but I would, if it were me, I would take myself out of the equation. I would provide my business broker all of the information they need in order to list my business, and I would do it. Now, if you have somebody that you know or somebody in the community that you want to negotiate with, fine. I would just figure out what is the minimum that I would take that would make me feel comfortable with the sale, and then hire the attorneys to handle the process and do the deal based on what you're asking. And then if the person isn't willing to give it, then they're not willing to give it. But that's what I would do. I don't think for small businesses there are these formulas out there for intangible assets like you're asking. Every business owner wants to think that certain things are of X amount of value, but traditionally speaking, when someone's buying a small business, They're buying cash flow. So what's the cash flow of the business? Is it going to be an owner-operated situation where the person buying it is going to be an owner-operator? So they're going to look at, okay, if I'm paying $100,000 for this, how long is it going to take for me to recoup my $100,000? So that's the type of thing they're going to be looking for, is how fast can I recoup, and is there cash flow for me to make a living? And they're going to pay some sort of multiple on your cash flow, whether it's 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, that type of thing. You might even be able to get into some Clubhouse groups or some Facebook groups on selling businesses and find out what a sample type of bakery food business, what the multiple is, and those types of things. But business brokers would certainly know that 100%. That's what I do. So keep us posted. Okay, the next question comes from Michael, and Michael says, do you track your time? If so, what software do you use? The background is I have a ticketing platform similar to Ticketmaster, and I'm wanting to keep track of what I do so that I don't waste my time on unimportant items, even if they need done. I need to cover customer service, social media posts, programming, and sales in my week. Eventually, it is my intent to hire for 3 or 4 of the items listed, but I'm just not there yet. Okay, do I track my time? No. In fact, I have never in my entire life, even when I was running my multi-million-dollar business, I never tracked my time. I track results and I just get things done. When something needs to be done, I get it done. Whether I do it or I delegate, I just get it done. And I want to get to the delegation phase as fast as possible. So the fact that, Michael, that you're doing all of these things and you want to eventually hire 3 or 4 of these items out, I think that's too slow. We should be looking every single day to accelerate our business to hire more people every single day. Our goal is to get out of the small business under 250,000, for sure under 250, get out of that phase as fast as fucking possible. So the fact that mentally you're not even there yet to start hiring, I want to talk to you and say, what is holding you up? And if you say, well, cash flow, I'll go, okay, cool. What is your sales and marketing process? How many hours a week are you spending on sales? While you're doing all of this customer service, social media posts, programming, why aren't you delegating that out and focusing all your time and attention on sales? Because if I guarantee you that if you focused all of your time on sales, you would have plenty of cash flow to pay for the administrative stuff to get done. And if you can't, maybe you're in the wrong business. That's what we need to get down to. But to answer your question, no, I don't track time. I've never used a software to do it. Dan Truex, who was here at the Summer Social, he did a 90-minute session on his time management and what he does. And we are going to be doing a training on that to put into the portal, into the 4-pillar section. As soon as Dan's got time, we're going to do that. And he's got a great system. But there's the 7 habits of highly successful people. There's lots of different journal and things out there. I don't use them. I've never used them. I just focus on getting shit done. I know Tom uses a pad of paper and a pencil. He doesn't use software, and he's built billion-dollar companies. So it's kind of like a CRM system, Michael. The system that's going to work is the system that you use. So even if you just use pad of paper and pen, that's a sufficient enough system. Even if you just use Outlook or Gmail or Apple Calendar or Google Calendar or whatever, any of them can suffice if you just learn to be disciplined. It's all about discipline for yourself. Okay, but I want to get you focused on sales. I don't like to hear that eventually my intent. Do you sound how passive that is? Eventually my intent is to hire for 3 or 4 of the items. That's so passive. My goal is by November 1st to have 1 person hired to get this stuff done. Do you see the difference? That's intent. Eventually is not an intent. Eventually, I'm going to decide to do something that I know I should be doing already. Do you see the difference? I want to work on that mindset of yours, Michael. Okay, next question comes from Giuliano. And Giuliano says, I need advice how to get corporate credit and raise up capital to buy business. The background is I need to buy a business. Okay, Giuliano, I have absolutely, well, I'll give you my thoughts on this. Corporate credit is not going to help you buy a business unless you already have a multi-million-dollar business and you have relationships with a bank that's going to give you a line of credit that you could then use to buy another business. This just is not enough information to really answer this question. Yeah, it's not enough information. Either book a get out of jail call or submit another question and give us a lot more detail. This is just not enough information right here. But I can tell you from experience, corporate credit is only something that benefits you from a financial perspective in two ways. There's a thing called Dun & Bradstreet, and you can get a DUNS number, D-U-N-S number, and any vendors that you purchase from that report to Dun & Bradstreet, which not every vendor does, they can then extend you terms like net 15, net 30, net 60, net 90, and then they report just like personal credit card companies do. They report to DUNS on your payment history, which helps you build up some sort of corporate credit so that when you go to do business with someone else that reports to DUNS, they might extend terms to you, but they don't give you money to buy businesses. Corporate credit has zero to do with buying businesses. If you're going to borrow money from a financial institution, especially if you're a small business owner, it all is going to go on your personal credit and how many assets you have. And it could be business assets or personal assets, but these days they're going to probably require you to sign a personal guarantee anyway. So it's really about how much you have in assets already. Okay, the next question comes from Robin. And Robin says, in sales, how many times do you recommend accepting rejection gracefully before redirecting focus? Thanks so much. The background is art for calm. Setting up on location at a beautiful local park, I go into it with a mindset of building rapport, building trust, networking, enjoying, and selling by sharing. People are enjoying and not buying. With consistency, I feel this can only help my business. When I do not sell, it feels discouraging. However, I persist. Well, I think a lot of this, Robin, is, are you asking for the sale? I would really need to understand your sales process as well. There's questions to be asking that can open up the sales process. Oh, someone comes up and says, "Oh, I like your stuff. Fantastic. Are you an art collector at all? Do you buy pieces of art? What kind of art do you buy? What kind of price range of stuff do you do?" In your situation, if your stuff is maybe on the lower price-wise, you might say, have you ever considered purchasing art as a gift? I've got note cards that are $10, whatever. I am a thriving artist, and I'd love to do some business with you. And so you should have offers that you're offering and getting no's. I think that the passive sale of just putting prices and hoping that people buy will sell less than you actually asking people to buy and giving them options and what have you. I would make it very apparent that when you're out there selling, that you are an entrepreneur artist and you are trying to sell art. You're just not out there spending time on a Sunday afternoon painting some landscape. You are there to sell some merchandise. Make it very clear with your signage, all those types of things. Very important for you to be asking for the sale. Obviously, not to be pushy, not to be rude, which you would never be, but we do want to be sure to ask for the sale. And sometimes people might purchase from you as a tip. So you say, hey, listen, have something there for $5. Something that might cost you $1 to create and sell it for $5, like a note card. If you take one of your most popular prints of Arts for Calm and print up 1,000 thank you cards or note cards, have a 3-pack there if they cost 30 cents each after you buy 1,000 of them, right? Sell 3 for $5. You know, people might want to just support you. So say, hey, I've got some beautiful cards that you could purchase, you know, to be able to send if you haven't sent a card to a family member or a birthday or anything like that. Give them some reasons and some to buy your stuff, and have different price ranges like we've talked about, okay? Try that and let us know how it goes, okay? All right, the next question comes from Ricardo. Look forward to seeing you next week, Ricardo. Ricardo says, what are some ways to compensate your employees? Strategies to use to help them stay, and how do you keep up with their progress? The background is I have a barbershop, and it seems like keeping my employees happy can be challenging. I'm just never sure how long they want to work with the company. Okay, I love this one. We're going to talk about this a lot next week here at the conference. And this is a never-ending thing here, keeping employees happy. It's like we as entrepreneurs and business owners, we have to spend our whole fucking life making other people happy. Who makes us happy? Well, you know who makes us happy? Our customers and our bank account. I mean, it's like, who else do we rely on? But you have AO, and AO is here to be supportive and make you happy. Okay. Couple things just off the top of my head. The first is understand your industry averages. So what are the, in your area, what are the industry averages that barbers make? You might want to network with other barbers to find out how much barbers make in your area, which is always a little bit interesting. So you always want to be careful, because some might go work for other people and they might see competition and all that type of stuff. But get to know your industry standards, okay? So get into some barbershop Facebook groups or Clubhouse or something, and just start networking with your peers, your industry peers, to find out what is the range of compensation. The next thing, then, ultimately, Ricardo and anybody else watching this, the way to make your employees happy is to build strong relationships with them. Remember, these are people. These aren't computers. You're not hiring them and they're coming in and they don't have a personality and they're just like a machine doing a job. People have personalities. People have problems. People have home lives. People have goals. People have dreams. And the more we, in a small business setting especially, it's like a family. We really want to know our team members, and we want to find out about their family and what's their wives or their girlfriends or their husbands and boyfriends' names, what are their kids' names, what are their family's birth dates, how are they doing in school. We want to get to know our team in a small business environment. We have the luxury of being able to do that in a small business environment. The bigger your company gets, the more separation you'll get. When I had 100 employees, I didn't know 25 or 30 of them. I didn't even know them. It just got to be too big. Do you think Jeff Bezos knew everybody that worked for Amazon? Absolutely not. He knew his core group of people in his circle that he worked with, and probably knew a lot about them. Here's also the next thing to know. The number one thing that employees want is not money. It's recognition. So you might want to implement a Barber of the Month plaque or trophy, and you gauge what key performance indicators lead up to them achieving that. So it could be how many clients, the average revenue per client, how many hours they worked, their attitude, their team effort, you could put together a bunch of different things and start some sort of employee of the month, and then employee of the year. And by winning, they get some extra perk. Maybe it's a day off. Maybe it is a gift certificate to dinner for them and their family. But get to know your team members, get to know their families, and then talk to them about what's important to them. Maybe you have a diamond in the rough and you've got another Ricardo working for you that says, my goal someday is to own my own barbershop. And you say, hey, listen, if you continue to work hard and help us grow our company here, maybe I can help you get your next location, and we create a second location for Platinum. And you become the general manager and business partner of mine, and I help you finance it so you can get there faster. We always want to be looking for those opportunities to do things like that. That way, they don't just leave you and go start their own, and then you lose them. Maybe there are opportunities to grow with people that have dreams and aspirations like you. I would rather have 50% of something than 100% of nothing, which means I would rather help somebody start their own location and become a 50% partner with them than lose them and they go start something on their own. And now I have to replace them as a barber, and I replace a good person, a high quality person that goes out and becomes a competitor. All right. So that's the way we think a little bit bigger in your industry. Now, also, you have a very unique industry. The barbershop industry is a very unique industry from a personality perspective. And so there's a lot of, most of them are not highly educated from a college perspective, a little bit more street smart. And so there's things that you can do to get to know your team members to figure out what can bring the best out in them. Okay, so it all comes with getting to know them and talking with them and building those relationships. Okay, hope that helps. See you next week, and we're going to talk about this a lot more. Okay, the next question comes from Terry, and Terry says, what should I be working on while I'm waiting for my cosmetic product to come back from the lab? The background is I'm working on starting a new clean cosmetic brand. I have packaging, waiting on trademarks, website and social media names are secured. I have an EIN and business account, and I'm waiting on the product to get photos to move forward with website that has not been started. Okay, one of the things I'd start doing is I would start talking to more and more of your potential customers, okay? You can never, ever, ever have too much knowledge on what your customers want and what they're looking for and what's gonna make them buy from you and how much they'd be willing to pay. Okay, so keep building up your email list and your phone numbers with potential customers, and maybe start trying to anticipate what a launch date might be and somebody be involved in the launch date. You could also be making pre-sales of your product to get pre-sales, because if you're ordering 5,000 units, maybe you might even be able to have all 5,000 units pre-sold before you even actually have the product. So those are some things you could be doing. You could be working with your branding agency, and if you don't have one, let me know and I can introduce you to somebody. You could be working on your branding agency to be putting together your brand identity kit with all your logos, color palettes, and then learning how to use Canva and Planoly that can create and schedule your posts. You might start looking for influencers, people that could promote your products and services. Are you going to sell through direct to consumer through your website? So you're going to need a marketing agency. You might start developing a relationship with a marketing agency because you're probably not an expert at putting together ads, copy, graphic design, video editing, and then running the ads. So you might develop relationships with some marketing agencies. So there's a ton of different things that you could be doing right now. All right, those are just kind of the initial ones that I could come up with off the top of my head. If you need more ideas, let me know. Okay, the next question, which is the last question, comes from Sochi. And Sochi says, how do I properly gauge the cost per item? The background is I recently launched a skin icing tool. I reached out to Dan for guidance on what I should charge salons per unit if they want to carry my product. He said it's based on what the cost per item is. In that amount, do I include the cost to ship the items and all associated costs that go along with launching the product, and then take the whole dollar amount and divide it by the number of units, cost, website, logo, shipping boxes, etc. Okay, so you can't charge your customers and build into the cost your website and stuff like that. So I would take, let's say, for instance, I have 1,000 units and it costs me $1,000 for these 1,000 units. So my cost of goods is $1,000. That's going to include the unit itself, the packaging. That's a dollar per unit. Yes, I do want to include in my cost that I'm going to sell to the wholesaler, I am going to build the cost of getting it to them. So if it's $1 per unit, I also want to take into consideration, and there's something called key pricing, and I believe that there are some articles in the accounting section in the Resource Center on how to price products, but there's something called key pricing. So if your product is going to sell for, say, $10 at the actual retail location, then the wholesaler is probably going to buy it from you for $5. because they want to be able to buy it from you for $5 so they can double the price and sell it for $10. Now, there are industry standards, industry key pricing. For instance, restaurants might buy wine for $1 and sell it for $3, for $2 to $3, depending on the type of product. But key pricing in retail is normally that you are going to sell it for $5 if they're going to sell it for $10, which means you want your cost to be somewhere around $1.50 to $2.50. Okay, I usually think, I'm guessing here just from what I've heard, it's 33%. You want at least 33%. So that's what you would want to do. So you and I also talked about this. There are some great consumer product goods, CPG, I think that's what it's called, consumer product goods, groups on Clubhouse. And I would get into some of those because there's some really good groups. Clubhouse is going downhill. I know it's not as big as it was, and a lot of people were doing it and they dropped out realizing it wasn't really going to take off. But there were some really good CPG groups. You might also look for CPG groups on Facebook so that you can ask all of these types of questions too. I know that the people that know retail are going to have those answers like spit. The next thing, you also might want to talk to Tyler. Get on Tyler's next. Tyler and Jeff, they're CPAs and they're high-level financial people. So you might want to talk to them on the next weekly Zoom that Tyler or Jeff do, because they can probably give you some really good advice on that. That's not my expertise. I know just enough, a little bit, of course, just to be dangerous. Okay. All right. I hope that helps. That was today's mentor session. Remember that on Monday, Honey, recently married Honey, is our virtual assistant, is going to send you an email. If I answered one of your questions, she's going to send you an email with my answer. And then we send out a weekly recap of all the questions that have been asked during the week and answered by mentors. You get a weekly recap email, okay? And then final thing is make sure you've downloaded, installed, and turned on notifications for our mobile app. And in the mobile app, make sure you touch each post where there's a little red dot so that we know that you saw the post. All right? Hope you have a great day, morning, or night, wherever you are in the world. And most won't, I will. Remember that. Every time you know something needs to be done, what would a successful person do? And do that. All right? Peace out. See you later.